Hey, good evening, everyone. Today's Tuesday, November the 3rd.
I'm Jeff Zayas from Napa, California.
I'm Keith Milner from the United Kingdom, standing in for George Dosher, who's out travelling.
And I'm Robert Taylor in New Orleans, Louisiana.
Hey, everybody, I'm Duke Carico, and on tonight's Tech and Coffee's Android Journal, Google says Chrome OS, it isn't going anywhere. Can Android save Windows Phone? And we'll take a hard look at the Dell 13 Chromebook. Hey, everyone, welcome to episode 109.
Good evening, sir.
All right, and Keith Milner from, hey, man, it's been a long time. You know, we're going back to the Tech and Coffee's Tech News Weekdays, and, you know, I got to thinking that was over a year ago, so welcome, Keith.
I'm glad to be here, thank you.
Yeah, and I think you've got a visitor. You've got a Yankee visitor that's creeping off to the side there.
I have. Unfortunately, there's some American kind of waif came to my door and started tapping on, "Let me in," and this guy comes up.
What the hell? What the hell are you talking about?
Hey, George, been following all the pictures on Google Plus. Looks like OggCamp 15 was a ball, guys. And for anybody listening or watching now, they've spent all afternoon at a brewery. So just warning you guys.
We're pretty much toasted.
Yeah, see, they go there, you know, under the guise of doing technical, you know, stuff for OggCamp, but the truth is it's just one big giant pub crawl. That's what it is. Admit it.
Yeah, it was a pub crawl.
It was, yeah.
Yeah. We know.
A little tech, but we were pretty much drunk in the streets.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. Hey, guys, let's talk a little bit about Android and Google. What do you say? Hey, and to kick this off, I just got to tell you guys, I'm going to gloat a little bit here. When I saw the Wall Street Journal article last week, I said, no way, man, Chrome OS isn't dead. They're going to continue making Chromebooks. They're going to continue honing Chrome and making it bigger and badder. And sure enough, Google, they came out yesterday and said, you know, there's been some talk about Chrome OS being folded into Android, and we're just here to say no, that's not going to happen. Hey, Jeff, I'm going to let you take first crack at this. What do you think, man?
I think they didn't triple check their sources. You know, obviously the Chromebooks were, you know, for a long period of time been the #1 selling PC or laptop on Amazon, right? It is dominating in the, you know, school districts now.
Hey,
so
about that, 30,000 new Chromebooks per day are going into schools, man.
I mean, they are just killing it, and you know, and they want everyone to be, you know, on their cloud-based, you know, environment. So it would be foolish for them to kind of say goodbye to something that has been very, very successful. One of their real success items, really.
Robert, you're next, man. Tell me what you think about this.
Yeah, very successful, despite the Microsoft attempt to scroogle the Chromebook environment. You know, truthfully, you know, I would like to see some integration, and we've seen some inroads in that, you know, between Android and Chromebook. But is one going to replace the other? No way. Google's not going to give up what is a very, very successful campaign and product line for them. You know, it brings people into the Google environment, and we're doing it at the grade school and high school level. They're introducing these devices to, you know, kids. Google's not giving that up. You know, once you get people integrated into your environment, they tend to stay. So they're not going to fold this and make this go away. No chance.
Hey, Keith, what's the UK think about that, man?
Well, I mean, I've got to agree. I think the journalists have basically seen two and two and kind of put them together and made about 5,000. I think they're very successful. I think they're very different. They're different types of device. You know, the Chromebook is a cloud device primarily, with very little capability to run anything locally. The Android stuff is totally opposite. It's about running apps locally, and you know, I think there's a huge crossover between them. But and I can see, as the kind of article sort of eventually kind of admitted, that there was some work being done to look at producing Android as a desktop environment, but that doesn't necessarily mean Chrome OS is going away. And I think we'll see perhaps more notebook type Android devices available. But Chrome OS is fantastic and it's successful. Yeah, why would they get rid of it?
Yeah.
And I have said before, you know, I think Android could be a full-blown desktop system. I mean, the file structure's there, you know, so we'll see. Maybe we'll see some legitimate Android desktop computers in the future. But hey, George, you want to weigh in on this before we move on, man?
There was a point where I didn't really think I needed and wanted a Chromebook, but you've introduced me to Chromebook, and I'm going to tell you that the story's all bullcrap. I mean, I think it's one of the best and easiest system to use, just about for anyone, from the highly tech to grade school to the grandma. It's a great system, and I can't see it going anywhere.
Can I just add? I think one of the key differences between Android and Chrome OS is the way they're used. Android is primarily a touchscreen environment. I've got an Android tablet with a keyboard. I don't really use the keyboard very much. I've got a Chromebook with a Chromebook Pixel with a touchscreen. I don't use the touchscreen very much, and I think that's the difference between them. Is they're different OSs for different use cases.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, later on we're going to talk about the Dell Chromebook 13, and I'm going to lean on you just a little bit, Keith, for some comparisons against the Pixel, if that's okay. Jeff, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I think maybe part of the confusion might have lied with the Wall Street Journal is that, you know, maybe the concept of seeing Android apps on the Chrome OS. You know, that little bit of a crossover that they've been kind of promising, bringing more and more apps over to the Chrome OS. And maybe there was a confusion with that, but, you know, there's obviously no way OS is going away. I mean, Chrome OS is going away.
And I think that's an important point, that there are people who recognize what Chromebook is and love what it does, but they also want the additional functionality of some of these apps that they see in Android and they're familiar with on their phone. I mean, certainly games and those types of things, you know, people want, you know, in both places, but more productivity, they want to see the crossover between the two. That's not to say that Chrome OS is going away, like you suggest. Don't get confused because we're blending some of that Android apps into Chrome OS that we're saying that Chrome is going to go away. Certainly, that would not be a valid review.
Well, anybody who knows me or listens to this show, they know my Chromebook is my primary device. Okay, it's what I use most of the time. Obviously, I'm not using it now because this is a little bit heavier lifting with what we're doing here to do this podcast. But basically, for everything else that I do, Chrome OS normally handles it. So yeah, like I say, I'm a believer in the platform, and when I saw that, I didn't believe it. Hey guys, I'm going to move on. Let's talk. You know, Paul Thurrott is a Windows messiah. He's man. He's supported Windows for years, and I followed him for years. And I'll tell you, when I saw this article the other day, I wanted to bring this article to the Android Journal show because basically Paul Thurrott is calling for Android to save Windows Phone. And he lays forth a lot of reasons why he thinks it's time for Microsoft to fork a version of Android and call it their own operating system. Robert, you're going to get first crack at this one, man.
Well, and let's start right from the very beginning. What's his number one reason for making this conjecture? Okay, apps. How many apps are available in Android versus what's available in Windows Phone? And the sheer disparity in the numbers is what he's holding out. If you want to save Windows Phone, you have got to bring developers and their applications to the users. People are not going to buy a phone that doesn't have functionality. And that is where Windows Phone, its number one deficit right now, is that developers are not interested in developing for Windows Phone. They're developing for iOS and they're developing for Android, period. Now, of course, Microsoft can't go grab iOS and fork it. That's not going to happen. But they can do it with the open platform of Android. The opposite side of the fence there is, would that be Microsoft waving the white flag saying we give up and we're just going to, take the tide and go with the easy way out?
Keith, should Microsoft give up on the Windows Phone platform?
I think there's a lot of good reasons for them to do it. I think that Robert's kind of nailed it. The issue they have is apps. I'm not sure if Android can save them. They're going to have to do something similar to what Amazon have done with their.
But George, would you say that Amazon has been successful with forking Android to sell Amazon branded phones?
Well, on the phones, no, but other devices, correct. Amazon's been successful in forking Fire OS to other devices. The phone, not so much. But I think even with just the way they do it, I mean, Amazon has proven that they can fork Android to another device and be successful at it. I think Microsoft would probably need to do something like that to save its phone industry.
Okay.
I'd say, why would they do it? What are they trying to save by doing it? Are they trying to save their device business, or are they trying to save their app business and their app and services business? If they're trying to save their app and services business, then the best way to do that is to carry on pushing their apps and services via Android and iOS generally. If they're trying to save their device business, I'd question why would they do that? Because
I think at this point the question might be that they spent billions of dollars on a company called Nokia, and they need to do something with that.
Yeah, I think instead of forking Android, they're just going to, whatever this Project Astoria was, the bridging of allowing developers to quickly move their apps over to a Windows environment, or bridging it with some kind of envelope that translates it over to the Windows Phone. That's the way to do it, and that's the way they probably end up doing it, because they want to keep the phone business. Mobile is still so big, and they want to satisfy customers who have interoperability between iOS and Android through their apps. So why not having that piece for the Windows Phone? It makes sense, and obviously they have the technology, they can do it.
Currently, right now, worldwide, Microsoft's got about 3% of the market with Windows Phone. Of course, Google worldwide has about 83%. Of course, iOS is 13-14% worldwide. So it's kind of like BlackBerry. You see what BlackBerry's doing right now. It was announced today that AT&T is going to carry the Priv. Okay, that's a forked version of Android. I think it's too late for BlackBerry. My personal opinion, I think BlackBerry it's dead. It's gone. I think there's too many people out there that have moved on. They loved their BlackBerry, but they moved on, and they probably didn't love it enough to give it a second chance.
Yeah, but BlackBerry is totally different than Microsoft.
Well,
Microsoft has some way deeper pockets into different services than BlackBerry is, right? So, they can save it if they wanted to of the Windows Phone, and I think they will. I think they will. It's kind of like, you know, they know the mobile market is too important not to.
And they've missed that boat.
Arena.
That's why I think they'll try it. I agree, Jeff. I think that they will try moving with a forked version of Android, because by doing that, they're going to get access to apps that they haven't had with the Windows Phone. Because as Robert's already stated, they just could not get developers on board. And I think it makes sense for them to try it myself. Hey, anything else before I move on? All right, man. Hey, Jeff, would you buy an Android Wear watch if the price was $115?
If it had a heart rate monitor and GPS enabled, yes.
Well, Jeff, it has a heart rate monitor and a GPS.
You know, that is a price point that, you know, that Chinese company that's doing that, whatever the name of it is.
LA?
You know, I think it's great. $115? Damn, come on. That's very, very reasonable for that. I mean, that is less than a Fitbit, you know, and will have more functionality. Yeah, I would definitely do it.
Well, we've long said, you know, that the smartwatch industry, you know, with their $299 price points, was way, way, way in the, you know, totally disposable income market, very high end, that it's not going to reach very widely. And I went to the Verizon store this week to do some changing up on my account and my phones, and they had a whole display of of watches there, and all of them were $259, $299, $399. I mean, ridiculously expensive. And while the store was crowded, there was not one single person looking at that display. Other than me for the few minutes that I walked over there. Why? Because the price is ridiculous. But yet you look at this at $115, come on. That is hard to pass by. Even me, who's not such a big fan of the smartwatch deal, at $115, I'm definitely going to give this a second look.
Okay, Josh Swafford in the Q&A has said, take the deal, Jeff, take the deal. In other words, will it be door number 1, door number 2, or the $115 watch? What will it be, Jeff?
It will be the $115 watch, definitely. Because, you know, you know how many items I bought from Amazon based on Tech and Coffee that I don't use anymore? You know, it's way over $115. So.
Yeah.
So you're easily persuaded, is what
I can be persuaded pretty easily.
But really, you know, I think Robert makes the valid point. If you are sitting on the fence as to whether a smartwatch is for you or not, I mean, for a whole lot of people in the world, $115 is disposable income.
Oh, yeah.
But $299 is not. It is way outside the box.
Yep. Hey, Keith, are you still wearing the Asus Zen watch?
I am. The thing that tipped me over is that I was in duty free on a trip to Mexico, and they were doing it as a special offer for £120. Now, the way that electronics products work means that if a $115 watch in the US came to the UK, it would be £115. So that I see this basically similar pricing, and it's what tipped me over. Otherwise, up until that point, I was like, nah, this stuff looks cool, but it's too expensive.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it will be interesting to see how it drives the market.
George, would you trade that Pebble for one of these?
I wouldn't trade the Pebble for it, but I might buy one of those just as a side toy. So when this is charging for its 45 minutes, I'll have something to wear.
Or you could wear one on each wrist, George.
Yeah, and then compare it. Now what time is it? Now what time is it? Now what time is it?
This is the man who very nearly spent £20 on a LED badge, programmable LED badge.
Oh, that was hilarious.
Name badge you could put your name on and have it scrolling across.
Mac was the coolest stuff.
Admit it, George. You wouldn't buy this unless they sold it in the vending machine at the airport, just
Yeah.
like the Pebble.
Actually, airport, train station, doesn't really matter where.
But really think about it. What do you think it cost to make this watch? It's $40, $50.
I think the Chinese, they probably have little gremlins, Jeff, that as long as they don't feed them after midnight, they can turn these things out.
Yeah, but my point is that you take this watch and then you look at how much, the Apple Watch is, right? And you go, wow, the components of that, it's pretty much the same kind of thing. Just think of their profit margins, even though they're selling them at a discount now if you buy an iPhone.
Well, yeah, and going back to the Windows Phone, that's what I've always said. If Microsoft wants to get Windows Phone out there, I mean, they got to make these promotions like, hey, buy a Surface Book and we'll throw in a top-of-the-line Windows Phone. Seriously. Hey, but back to this watch, Jeff, really quick. $115 is going to get you a Bluetooth 4.0, 512 megabytes of RAM, 4 gigs of ROM, waterproof at an IP67 rating. I think that's the same rating as the Asus Zen watch. It's got, of course, it'll Bluetooth answer dial. It's got the health tracker. You can control music. Of course, all of this stuff is not specific to the LA watch. It's the Android operating system. 320 by 320 pix, 1.5 inch. It's got a 400 milliamp hour battery. It's got about 80 hours standby on that. They say it's unisex. So anyway, listen, I will definitely be keeping my eye on this going forward. I think this is the price point. If Google wants to sell a lot of Android Wear watches, this is the way to do it, and I'm assuming that this watch will work.
When it says, Bluetooth, it says phone call assistant, so I wonder if you can actually answer the phone on your watch. And doesn't it say you have a microphone?
It does not. I don't see microphone mentioned. I don't think that microphone is supported in Android Wear, period, at this time, Jeff.
Well, it's for doing the OK Google thing. It's not for making phone calls.
Right.
It does say under the Bluetooth calling, it does say answering, dialing. So that would indicate to me that you can answer.
Maybe
answering then. Yeah, maybe that would be great, though. I mean, that's even if it did that, holy moly, that would just be a real tipping point for a lot of people, I believe.
Yeah.
All right, hey guys, moving on. Let's talk about this Dell Chromebook that's been in the news so much. And guys, I always said that my dream Chromebook would be a Chromebook that had a quality display and a backlit keyboard. And Toshiba and Dell both have unveiled them recently. This thing will start with a Celeron processor at $429. If you want to go full-blown i5 with 8 gigs of RAM, $649. Now that's $649, but about every review that I have read says that if you don't want to plop down $1,000 plus for a Pixel, this is the way to go. The build quality is excellent. It's a combination between aluminum and carbon fiber, and it's a very attractive looking Chromebook. And Keith, I'm going to let you roll first on this one. What's your impression of the Dell 13 Chromebook?
Well, from what I've seen of the spec, it looks and the variety of models, it looks fantastic. I mean, it's considerably cheaper than the Pixel, of course, even the 2015 version Pixel. It's a similar spec when it comes to kind of the kind of core things you need, like the processor and the and the memory and stuff like that. The resolution's not as high as the screen on the Pixel, but most people don't need the ridiculous resolution that the Pixel has. I think they look fantastic. If I didn't have a Pixel already, I'd definitely be looking at one of these.
Robert, you think $650 is too much to spend on a Chromebook, no matter how nice it is?
Well, here's kind of the problem. I do think that's a little bit on the pricey side. I do. While this is a quality build, and we're not talking about, an Acer, little, $250 machine. There's definitely a higher end build quality here. Touch screen, extra, larger memory, and so forth. But still, we get back to what Chromebooks originally were, and they're internet consumption devices that, offer some additional functionality. If I'm really going to get into, decent quality laptop, I'm looking at $700-800. Whereas, a $649 Chromebook, I'm not sure I'm going to go there. I'm just not sure I'm going to go there. I like the device. I just think it's priced maybe $100 or $150 too much. If we were maxed out at about $499, I would be happy. I would be happy with this device. You're shaking your head no, Jeff?
I just shared my screen. For $799, I can get this Dell Inspiron i7 machine, 8 gigs of memory, touch screen, solid state drive, has Windows 10, USB ports, HDMI ports. I don't know, man. $100, $120 more, and I have something that I can actually put some use to. And
not some use, some additional use.
Exactly.
Let's face it. We can do a lot of things with a Chromebook now. We really can.
Yeah.
And but there are times when you need a full-blown laptop, and for $100 more,
right,
I'm hard pressed not to buy that machine.
I might want to add that the $650 Dell Chromebook that we're talking about does not support touch.
Wow.
That's true. It does not. The $629 one does.
Yes.
Which still, but again, we are talking about a high quality build machine for a Chromebook. I get that. I just think it's just priced a little bit high, considering we have laptops at $700, $800, like Jeff just showed. It's kind of a tough sell.
I think it is a tough sell. As much as I love the Chrome platform, I'm just not sure that hey, I want that good screen. I want a backlit keyboard, but I'd like to see that price under $500 myself.
Yeah, I would forget the watch and buy this other laptop.
Hey, George, you've been using my old Samsung Chromebook, the Series 3 Samsung. Are you thinking about replacing it anytime soon? And if you are, how much would you be willing to spend on a Chromebook platform?
About $450 maybe.
Okay.
I mean, I right now the Chromebook is working fine. I get at least 5, almost 6 hours out of it on battery, so it's still doing fine. It's getting a little bit slower from all the updates, but it's nothing tragic. Most of the web content and everything I can get to fine. If it did bite the dust soon, or I decided it was just too slow to keep up with something new, or it's not going to get updates, I would definitely invest in something. I don't think I'd buy the Dell. In fact, I don't think I'd buy anything Dell, just my own personal preference. Only having worked in the industry and having dealt with Dell as far as the service part of it, no offense to anyone who has a Dell, but they're crap. Sorry. But the only reason I say this is because I have to do a lot of service tickets, and most of the machines that come across my desk are Dell. That failed fans, overheat, burnout.
Yeah.
That's because your company has a contract with a major manufacturer.
They also have Lenovo. They also have HP.
Yeah, but the sad part about that, George, is that originally Dell wasn't that way. It's only been the last 2 or 3 years where their manufacturing quality has really sunk to such lows, and it's a problem now.
$139, 2 years running, maybe 3 years running. Does everything I want to do. Why would I spend $650? Why?
It's quite an insane price for what that is, especially since you can get other machines that you can load. Like the machine you were looking at there, Jeff, I would perfectly buy that and load Linux on it and wipe Windows clean off the face of that computer's hard drive.
There you go.
Although I would also suggest you what is the weight of that other machine and what is the battery life of it?
Yeah, the weight is a big thing for me. I mean, I have 2 laptops at home other than the Chromebook, and they'll outperform the Chromebook right and left. I mean, they will. The problem with them is either the weight or the size. So I don't mind bringing, and the battery life too. Nothing's going to kick the battery life of this right now. Even I have a newer Asus F102. Well, it's not newer. It's about 2 years old, 1.5 years old. And it's much newer than this Chromebook, and the battery life is probably about 4 hours, where I get about 6 in the Chromebook.
And bear in mind, this is a professionally focused device for any company that is any large company that's looking to deploy Chromebooks instead of say Windows laptops. Even the $600 one represents almost a quarter of the price they're paying for a Windows laptop once you factor in the setup costs, the additional software costs of putting antivirus and encryption and all that kind of stuff on it.
Yeah, securing them is where they spend a lot of money on Windows machines. You're exactly right, Keith.
So even if they went for the highest end Dell machines, they're still kind of at least a third, probably a quarter of the price of what they're paying now.
And certainly that's in the education environment. Why they're so successful is because they can deploy these Chromebooks at minimal cost, and they're secure, they're safe, and even if they end up getting corrupted, messed up, it's a power wash away to return it back to.
And so, for us, it might not appear good value for money, but for other environments, even at those prices, it possibly is still better value for money what they're getting at the moment.
Yeah. The thing that I like about this is both Dell and Toshiba have the Toshiba's really nice too, guys. The Dell seems to win out when it comes to the manufacturer quality. But what I like about this is others are going to build similar machines. Competition's going to get better. In the end, we win.
Well, it shows us there's a very active market in Chromebooks, and competition's good, variety's good.
Okay.
Too bad the operating system's going away.
Yeah. It's too bad it's being folded into Android.
Y'all got to stop reading the Wall Street Journal.
And and by the way, I also read today that Steve Jobs is really still alive. Okay. Hey guys, have we got anything else?
Him and Elvis are having breakfast someplace right now, I'm sure.
Anything else we want to talk about? I'll tell you what, we booked through this show. Anything at all, guys?
Well, we can talk about Google Glass, the recent announcement.
No, we're not going to talk about Google Glass. I'll talk about my new phone before we talk about Google Glass.
Hey, Robert. Let's talk about your new phone. Let's go ahead. Hey, before we do that, let me do this really quick. Hey, guys, we are Tech and Coffee. We are a daily Google Plus hangout. We would love to have you join us. Wander on over to techandcoffee.info. look for that coffee cup, click on it. It will bring you into our main hangout, and we would love nothing better than for you to visit, and we'll talk tech with you. You can find us on Twitter and Facebook at Tech and Coffee 1. YouTube, we're at Tech and Coffee. Hey, our favorite social network is still Google+. Hey, search for Tech and Coffee. Look for that gorgeous T&C coffee cup. Catch this podcast on Stitcher Radio, iTunes, and Player FM. Hey, tweet us using the hash Tech and Coffee. Questions, comments, and snide remarks? Yeah, I kind of got choked up there. EJ at techandcoffee.info. Hey, Robert, tell us about your new phone, brother.
Well, I tell you, we talked a little bit about it on our last Android Journal show about how Verizon has decided that they have found a way to get rid of all of those pesky unlimited data users, of which I was one of. Basically, they were told they couldn't throttle us. They were told they couldn't restrict us. They couldn't limit the devices we used our plans on. So they said, okay, well, what we're just going to do is we're just going to raise the price and make it so damn expensive, you'll want to get rid of your unlimited data. So armed with a whole lot of research and knowledge, I went into the Verizon store and this week gave up my unlimited plans. And while I did that, I said, well, if I'm going to do that, I'm going to go ahead and get a new phone. I happened to pick the just newly announced Droid Turbo 2, which is an incredible phone. This is a monster phone. Very fast processor, lots of RAM, SD card expansion slot on it. Very, very, very nice phone. Good to hold, not super heavy. The one thing that really kind of struck me, and I've heard you say this over and over again, that a quad HD display on a phone is really not necessary. And I've looked at a couple and I didn't really see, I could see a little bit of a difference, but not anything major. And sure enough, now after having the phone for a few days, I can tell you that the quad HD display really adds nothing to the overall performance of the phone or the experience of viewing movies or YouTube or anything like that on the phone. And it does detract from the battery. While this Droid Turbo has a massive 3,700 milliamp hour battery, I can definitely tell that it drains a lot quicker because of this quad HD display. It is really, really unacceptable that it drains the battery where I don't see any performance out of it. But the other part about the experience overall, and this is something that I want to warn folks, there's a lot of talk about jumping carriers, and this one has this plan, and this one has this many gigabytes of data. You really need to look and do a lot of research, because while I did all my research ahead of time and I thought I knew exactly what I was going to go get and how I was going to, what I was going to pay for my new plan, by the time I walked out of Verizon, it was totally different. Because what they suggest to you on the TV, like they're simply pick a size plan, small, medium, large, extra large on data, it's not that simple. And they tell you, oh, it's $20 per line. It's not that simple. It's only $20 per line if you buy a new phone. If you want to keep your existing phones and don't want to buy a new phone and just get choose a plan, it's $40 a line, which makes it considerably more expensive than T-Mobile or AT&T. Of course, Verizon doesn't tell you that on the TV. They just say pick a size and pay $20 per line. So, do your research thoroughly ahead of time and don't rush into it. We actually went back to the Verizon store 3 different times before we settled on the phones and the plans that we were going to end up with. And in the end, I did give up my unlimited data. I was able to save a few dollars a month, but of course, I'm going to miss being able to watch Netflix for hours on end. Just won't be able to do that anymore.
Like I'm doing now.
Yeah.
I do a lot of that. Yeah. And,
Hey,
I told you I used about 30 gigs last month.
Oof.
Yeah.
So Robert, are you going to get a case for that shatterproof display, or are you going to you going to trust that it's shatterproof, or are you getting a case?
I got to tell you, it is shatterproof. I've seen it firsthand. It is shatterproof, and I don't put cases on my phone. Now, I do have a belt holster that I carry it with, and I am pretty careful with my phone. I've only dropped my phone one time at a Tech and Coffee hangout. I went up to go give somebody a hug, and my phone just kind of skittered across the parking lot. And, of course, I was like, my heart just dropped. But I picked it up, and it was fine. But this phone is truly amazing with its shatter resistance. So I do have faith that it is pretty stout and worthy of being naked, as it were.
And Robert, I just I want to be curious there going forward. You and I had talked earlier about image stabilization on the camera.
Yeah.
And the new Nexus 5X and 6P also do not have image stabilization. Google says it's unnecessary because the pixel size is so large it makes the image stabilization inadequate, basically. I will be anxious to hear your thoughts on the camera going forward as to whether you miss the image stabilization or not.
I got to tell you, I've taken a couple of pictures, nothing really massive. You guys have seen, I've posted a couple in the stream of our pets. And, of course, these are subjects that you can't control. They move at whatever they decide to scratch a flea or flick their tail or whatever the case may be. They do whatever. You can't control it. And I got to say, it actually froze the image pretty well. So I may not be missing the image stabilization. But the one thing about the camera that I did find very odd, because I have never done it, I have never taken a selfie pic. This particular phone has a forward-facing LED flash so that you don't have dark selfie pics anymore.
All right, very good.
I don't think I'm going to do that one because I'm not a selfie pic person, but I just thought that kind of odd. Do I really need to have a forward-facing LED? Come on. That was kind of silly. Yeah. I do like the 8-core processor, and I definitely like the 3 gigs of RAM. It makes for a very, very smooth experience. Now, I'm still running 5.1.1. I don't have Marshmallow yet because this phone was already slated for release at the time that they announced Marshmallow, but it will get Marshmallow at some point. I might have to wait 6 months or 8 months to get it, but it's supposed to come.
I'll just want to add that one thing about Marshmallow that I'm very impressed with is the doze feature. If I lay my phone down, I mean, for any length of time at all, it starts shutting stuff off, and the battery will last literally for a couple of days, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
That used to not be the case. Remember, I'm carrying the original Nexus 5. It's got, a 1700, I think it's actually a 2100 milliamp hour battery. All right, hey, Keith, George, y'all got any tips, tricks, or apps you want to share with us tonight?
We do. Of course we do.
We
Untapped. And I drank some roasted nuts tonight that had lots of head. So I drank heady nuts tonight.
Yeah. And George has got me using this too. So it's a social app to allow you to review and log the beer that you've drunk.
Yes, actually, Tech and Coffee regulars Andrew Rowland and Matt Janey absolutely love that app as well. George, didn't you turn them on to that app?
I did, and I kind of put it down for a bit because I wasn't really drinking or doing that much. And then, of course, now when I travel and hanging out with friends, hit breweries, I guess, and have to use it.
Yeah, we were at a brewery today.
Yeah. So
we got 3 badges.
We did.
You're not saying people like you better when you're drinking, are you?
We like us better when we're drinking. That's all that matters.
That's all that matters, yeah.
George makes more friends while he's drinking, yes.
Yes, yes.
All right. Hey, guys, I've got just a real quick little tip for you. If you're like Robert and you buy a new telephone, you're going to ask yourself, what am I going to do with my old telephone? Well, there's many things you can do with it. One is you could probably give it to charity. There's a lot of organizations out there that'll take your phone. Or maybe, you can turn it into an MP3 player or something along that line. This is going to be something a little different, though. Why don't you make yourself an emergency phone? Okay? So the first thing you might need is a battery, an external battery. The one that I've got pulled up here is made by Anchor. It's a 3,500 milliamp hour battery. Okay? It's on sale right now for $10. So what you do is you go to Amazon, you get that external battery, you take your old phone and you buy a prepaid SIM for it. Take the phone, the external battery, stick it in a case, drop that in your glove box in your car, down in a bag, whatever, and guess what? You have an emergency phone. If you need it, you plug the external battery in it. In about 7 minutes, you can boot the phone and use it as an emergency phone. That's, spend about $30. Buy a prepaid SIM, get you an external battery, and the battery will need to be charged about every 4 to 5 months. So there you go, man. That's my tip of the week.
That's a very good idea, actually.
Okay, anything else, guys?
I have an app for tonight.
Oh, go for it.
Let me share my screen real quick. Give me just 1 second here. All right. My app this week is Droid Hardware Info. As I said, I did all my research, ahead of time. And, of course, I've got a couple of phones that were laying around, and part of the deal with Verizon was trade in an old phone, and you'll get a discount on purchasing the Droid Turbo 2. Well, with all of these old phones, I didn't remember all the specs on them, so I went and I've got some hardware. I needed the hardware info to know which one I really wanted to trade in, what the specs were, so I found this app, Droid Hardware Info. It is just an information app. You want to know anything about your device, what RAM it has, the battery size. This software does it very well. Free, doesn't cost anything. It tells you all the cores, tells you how much utilization you have. As you see, I'm flipping through the screens here, tells you about the memory, tells you about the camera, battery, all the sensors. This is just a really good, quick, lightweight app to tell you about the hardware information. I had to evaluate the 4 different phones that I had and decide which one was I going to trade in. And in the end, I traded in my 7-year-old Droid X. And I traded that phone in. It still worked. The deal with Verizon was that the phone, of course, still had to boot. And it still worked, and it still booted. I walked into Verizon with that, got my Droid Turbo 2. They gave me $200 for that 7-year-old cell phone. Not a bad deal. I'll take that. But I did that with the help of Droid Hardware Info. I would suggest if you want to know what's inside your phone or your tablet, go download that from the Google Play Store. It works great.
I'm curious what Gazelle would have given you.
A 0.
Yeah, so you got
$0. It had no value on Gazelle. Or what's the other? There's another one. Shoot, I can't think of it right now. But the $0. They offered $0, and it was a trade-in that was part of Motorola. If somebody's interested in doing this, this promotion is going on with Verizon, I think, only through the 10th of this month. So if you're interested in going and picking up a new Motorola, one of the new Motorola phones, the Droid Turbo 2 or the Droid Max 2, you can get a pretty decent deal on a trade-in right now, bringing in an old phone.
Very good, very good. And really quick, back to my emergency phone. Keith pointed out in chat, and he's exactly right. You don't need a SIM card in your phone to be able to dial 911, so you can still do that. And some of the prepaid SIMs have an expiration date on them. If you don't use them by a certain date after you buy them, they stop working. So, yeah, you might want to keep that in mind if you're looking for a SIM card for your old phone, a prepaid SIM. Hey, guys, anything else whatsoever? So, yeah, and we certainly don't want to talk about San Francisco 49ers or Tennessee Titans, right, Jeff?
Oh my God, no! Every week I post the same thing. Why do I watch the 49ers? Why am I watching this? And boy, it's sad. 2 years ago they were one of the elite teams, and now they are in the bottom of the bottom.
Hey, guys, head over to techandcoffee.info, click on that coffee cup, come and hang out with us. We're normally in the room. This is Eastern time, around 8 o'clock to sometimes way on up into the night. We got some European folks that hang out with us, like Mr. Keith Milner, and one or two from France and other places. And then there we've got the American contingent. So you never know. There might be a celebrity to drop by. Yeah, like Randy Quaid's brother. Hey, guys, y'all have a great week. We're going to catch you in 7. Peace out, everyone.